portion of the meeting. We have public hearings.
Yes, Mr. Council President, members of council, you have D on your public hearings. There's 3 liquor license hearings that are listed. The third of which is going to be adjourned. The licensee is not ready to proceed. The necessary paperwork has been filed. But to have the first 2, I see Mr. Gus is in the crowd representing those licensees. We do have a pretty packed agenda here. It is my request that we move the public hearings until after the consent agenda, due to the fact that we do have a lot of people here to talk about the ordinances on second reading. And I thought it might proceed a little more expeditiously that way. That's okay. All right?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. So we have public hearings to be moved to the before the public portion of the meeting.
Right, and after consent.
And after consent agenda.
Right, and with respect to consent agenda, when we get there, we'll just hold 36 and 37 until that the hearing.
Okay.
As they apply to those particular matters.
All right. So we have ordinances on second reading. An ordinance, number 1, an ordinance for the city of New Brunswick and the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, approving the application for long-term tax exemption and authorizing the city of New Brunswick to enter into a financial agreement with Cultural Center Redevelopment Associates Urban Renewal LLC, granting a tax exemption. 2, bond ordinance providing for the funding of improvements for the theater portion of the New Brunswick Cultural Center redevelopment project in the city of New Brunswick and the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, appropriating $18,500,000, therefore authorizing the issuances of not to exceed $18,500,000 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. 3, an ordinance authorizing the guarantee by the city of New Brunswick and the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, of not exceeding $23 million aggregate principal on the amount of the city guaranteed parking revenue bonds, series 2017 of the parking authority of the city of New Brunswick. 4, an ordinance to amend and supplement the general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick, Title 13, Public Service, Chapter 13-04, Water Service System, Section 13-04-010. 5, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the city of New Brunswick, Title 13, Public Services, Chapter 13-08, Sewer Service System, Section 13-08340, Schedule of Charges and Sewer Rates. We have no ordinances on first reading. Then we have resolutions. 1, approve agenda amendments. 2, approve payroll. 3, authorize refund for the regained tax sale certificates. 4, approve request for city property requested by Refuge Christian Church Incorporated. Location, Joyce Kilmer Park, Sunday, July 30th, 2017. Location, War Memorial Park, Saturday, August 26, 2017, for a religious event for the community. Time 1:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. 5, approve request for use of city property requested by Iglesias Cristina del Dios Vivo Incorporated. Location, Feaster Park, for religious service with live music and prayer. Date, Saturday, August 19, 2017. Rain date, Saturday, August 26, 2017. Time 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. 6, approve request for city property requested by Nye Rondell Stevens Memorial Scholarship Fund. Location, Beulah Park Pavilion, for gathering the benefit of the Kai Rondell Stevens Memorial Scholarship Fund. Date, Saturday, October 14, 2017. Time 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. 7, approve amendment of resolution R-011768, reason to pay the legal fees in the amount of Lawrence Bitterman Esquire for Detective Chris Bornheimer and in the matter of Rodriguez versus the city of New Brunswick et al. From $30,064.50 to $31,501. 8, approve renewal license with conditions for liquor license for Platinum Lounge LLC, Top Pearl and Pearl and Glow for Patterson Street. Liquor license number 12-14-33-079-008. 9, approve renewal of liquor license with conditions for 2017-2018 for Kelly's Corner. For Kelly's Corner Incorporated, Kelly's Corner. 75 Morrill Street, liquor license 12-14-33-028-006. 10, approve renewal of license with conditions for liquor license for La Famosa Incorporated, La Famosa, 117 Remsen Avenue, liquor license number 1214-33-045-003. 11, approve Chapter 159 budget insertion. State of New Jersey for alcohol education, rehabilitation, and enforcement grant. Amount of $17,114.34. 12, approve Chapter 159 budget insertion. State of New Jersey for Clean Communities grant. The amount of $60,492.19. 13, approve Chapter 159 budget insertion. State of New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development for New Jersey Libraries Career Connections. Grant amount of $54,060. 14, authorized purchase by the police department of the state contract from Atlantic Tactical Incorporated for purchase of ammunition not to exceed $9,454.90. 15, approve request for the Division of Alcohol Beverage Control to act on renewal of plenary retail consumption license for New Brunswick Lodge 324 BPO Elks, liquor license number 1214-33-023-001, period, July 1st, 2017 to June 3rd, 2018. 16, pulled at the request of the applicant, approved person-to-person liquor license from
That one's been pulled.
Oh, it's pulled, so we can just go. 17, approve request for city property requested by the Historical Association of New Brunswick in conjunction with the Friends of Monmouth Battlefield. Location, Boyd Park, for George Washington's Declaration of American Independence, Revolutionary War reenactment. New Brunswick, Fête du Jeu, cannon and musket salute. Salute to the American Army. Date Tuesday, July 4th, 2017, time 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. 18, authorize the tax collector to transfer overpayments on several tax and utility accounts. 19, approve payment to Holman Moran, Dunce, Dukas, LLP, Bradley Ferenc, JSC, retired, for hearing officer, administrative hearing services in connection with disciplinary hearing, not to exceed $210. 20, approve ABC liquor license renewal. 21, approve authorization to advertise for furnish and delivery regulatory signs, specification number 912-17. 22, approve authorization to advertise for 2017 traffic line striping, specification number 913-17. 23, resolution of the City of New Brunswick and the County of Middlesex of the State of New Jersey authorizing execution of certain agreements and authorizing other necessary action in connection with the New Brunswick Cultural Center project. 24, resolution authorizing the issuances of general obligation redevelopment area bonds. New Brunswick Cultural Center in the City of New Brunswick and the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, and an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $18,500,000. 25, approve payment of special public defender services to Richard Beach, not to exceed $1,200. 26, approve award of contract RFP, insurance brokerage services, HMO, to Corporate Synergies Group LLC. 27, approve award of contract RFP, insurance brokerage services, traditional to Business and Government Insurance Agency, BGIA. 28, approve award of contract with Shapano Construction Corporation for milling in various city streets for the Department of Public Works. 12-month term commencing July 7, 2017 and ending July 6, 2018. Specification number 600-170, not to exceed $94,400. 29, approve amendment resolution to pay additional legal fees in the amount of Anthony Vignola, Esquire of Boris Golden, Foley, Vignola, Hyman, Stahl, PC for special counsel for Board of Ethics hearing from $14,554 to $15,454. 30, approve award of contract with Crutech Solutions Incorporated for proprietary software for the library, not to exceed $9,700. 31, approve amendment of resolution, reason for the supplemental funding for engineering services in the amount of $5,600 to Mott McDonald for Cracker Dam repairs in the DNR canal from $98,300 to $103,900. 32, approve amendment for resolution, reason, pay final bills for 2017 dental plan benefit with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey for dental plan benefits, the amount of $37,000. 33, approve award of contract with CBS Caremark prescription plan services for the period of July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018, not to exceed $3,215,000. 34, approve a renewal of agreement with Aetna Healthcare Traditional and POS. Term, July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. 35, approve renewal of contract with Cigna Healthcare HMO, term July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. 36, approve renewal of license with conditions for liquor license for 2017-2018 liquor license for Per Serve Incorporated, Retail Bar, 14 Jersey Avenue, liquor license number 12-14-33-047005. 37, approve renewal of license with conditions for the Gala Restaurant Incorporated, the Gala Cafe and Restaurant, 156 Commercial Avenue, liquor license 12-14-33-007-003. 38, approve 159 budget insertion, New Brunswick Tomorrow for Family Friendly Center, amount of $25,000. Then we have items for discussion by council. Then we'll have the public, in between that, then we'll have the hearings, correct?
Correct.
And then we'll have the public discussion.
Correct.
All right. All right. Meeting will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council Vice President Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Egan is absent. Councilmember Escobar.
Here.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Here.
Council President Fleming.
Here. Please be advised that the notice of the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act have been complied with and satisfied of the annual notice which gave sufficient notice to the time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the Municipal Council of the City of New Brunswick has been filed with the City Clerk and has been placed on the appropriate bulletin board in the lobby of City Hall, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper of the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home News Tribune. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And will please remain standing for a moment of silence for those that are defending freedom around the world and those that have lost their lives in the senseless violence that is going on around the world and just for our country. Thank you. All right. We have the minutes. No minutes. We don't have the minutes. So we'll now go into, this will go there. Okay, no minutes.
This is on second reading.
Okay, we got ordinances on second reading.
Now, Mr. Council President, it's my understanding that with respect to 01 and 02 on second reading, 03 on second reading, we have a little PowerPoint presentation that perhaps the council may want to view for the benefit of the public before we open it up for a public meeting on these ordinances. If that's the council's pleasure, I think Mr. Patterson is ready to go.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a very quick PowerPoint presentation to review some of the background regarding the redevelopment area bond and the cultural center project. The cultural center project is being built on the lots just on the other side of the bank, just outside the windows over here. We'll be developing 2 new theaters, rehearsal space for those theaters, offices for the county and Rutgers, parking and loading for both the public and the loading for the State Theater, George Street and Crossroads also. And there'll be a residential tower on top of the offices and the theaters with 207 apartments. 20% of the units in that apartment building will be set aside as affordable housing. The project is going to cost in total about $169 million, including the parking deck facility that is being constructed as part of this. The actual tower with the theaters, offices, and the residential apartments will be is about $135 million. There are about 9 different funding sources that will go into financing this, so it's a very complicated financing for this project. There will be private equity from the developers, they will have private debt, and there will also be various public sources of financing. One of those sources will be the redevelopment area bonds, which will be up to $18.5 million, which will be provided to the project. The redevelopment area bonds are permitted by a state statute, which allows these to be contributed to a redevelopment project. The RAB bonds are what the city's contribution to this project is. There are also other public contributions coming from the county, Rutgers, the state, and so forth. But what the city is doing is making this contribution to the project to support the arts and this additional housing in the city. And how it will work is that the city will authorize a financial agreement which provides for a payment in lieu of taxes, or a pilot, for the apartments that will be developed as part of this project. The apartment owner will pay that pilot to the city, and the city will use those funds to dedicate them towards debt service on a bond that the city will issue. The bond proceeds will then be used to finance the portion of the theater financing for this project. So the apartment will pay dollars that will come to the city, and the city will give that back to the project for the theater portion of the project. Using the RAB bonds allows us to do this at a lower interest rate, and thereby generate additional dollars that are available for the project to use. And we're doing the RAB bonds for the project so that we can continue to have one of the best cultural centers in the state of New Jersey, and to bring more business into the city. The Cultural Center brings in about 400,000 to 500,000 visitors to the city each year. This project will allow for new state-of-the-art theaters, which will allow us to compete with some of the other cultural centers that are in the state, like Paper Mill Playhouse, New Jersey PAC, and so forth. One of the best aspects of the project is that it will be creating rehearsal space for the theaters, so that they can rehearse their plays and other performances while there is a show going on in the main theaters. This will allow them to put on additional shows in the theaters, and allow them to bring more people into the city, which will help support the businesses downtown and allow the theater companies to have a more stable revenue source. The theaters are also important, not just with the programs they put on, going there in the evening to see a performance, but they also provide a lot of community programming. They provide educational touring theaters to the school districts. They provide summer theater academies for children ages 5 to 15. This year it's being held down at the Lord Sterling School. American Repertory Ballet has a program called Dance Power, which is for children that bring them into, so they can learn dance and ballet and so forth. So there's a lot of community programming that comes from having the theaters here too. It's not just the evening performances. Having the Cultural Center here also supports the hotel and restaurant sector of our local economy. Hotels and restaurants are the third largest sector of New Brunswick's economy. There are over 160 businesses that are involved in this sector, over 2,000 jobs, and these businesses have an annual payroll of over $36 million. This will help support them indirectly by having more shows in town and keeping the cultural center here competitive with the other cultural centers in the state of New Jersey. Most of those businesses in that sector are locally owned, and they also provide low-skilled entry-level type jobs and also higher-paying skilled jobs with a path to go from those lower-skilled jobs up to the higher-paying jobs. I think that's a good type of industry to support in town. So in summary, doing this project, the New Brunswick Cultural Center, and supporting it with the RAB bonds, bringing more visitors into town to support local businesses, having community arts programs, being able to sustain them in town, being able to increase and retain jobs in the restaurant and theater industries. So the $18.5 million is the city's contribution to support this effort, and this is the vehicle that we're using to do that. The actions that are on in front of the City Council tonight are to approve a financial agreement which approves the payment in lieu of taxes, and to approve the issuance of the redevelopment area bonds. And that's what we're having the hearings on tonight. So that's the summary.
Thank you. All right. First ordinance. All right. So now we go into the ordinance. An ordinance of the City of New Brunswick and the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, approving the application for long-term tax exemption and authorizing the City of New Brunswick to enter into a financial agreement with the Cultural Center Redevelopment Associates, Urban Renewal LLC, and granting a tax exemption. Anybody from the public like to speak on this ordinance?
I think you can.
Good evening, members of the council. Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick. Reading here in an article on Tap Into. It's unclear how much. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Thank you for your help.
So, just reading a Tap Into New Brunswick article, said something to the effect of, you basically didn't address this at your last meeting, you chose not to. Can you tell us why didn't you discuss this at the last meeting, the June 7th meeting?
It was on first reading.
Okay. And has there been any research done into what impact this project would have on the city school system?
What impact would you, has there been any research?
Yeah.
As far as what impact are you, because I remember you alluded to it last time.
These apartments
Mm-hmm.
might have children living in them. And those kids would go to school and increase the class size, require more staff, require more resources for the district. Has there been any research into the extent of that impact?
I think that because you said that it would be robbing children of New Brunswick funding, something to that effect, right? You know, from the tax base.
I just asked it, the question was simple, was there
No, I
any
mean, was
research
there,
done?
I'm just asking what you're saying. Yes, I'm saying that as far as funding source, as far as money's coming out of the school system, right now with the state is looking at how we do fund schools, where it shouldn't be reliant just on property taxes. I know one thing that's not floating around, it's actually in the legislature right now, where they're going to fully fund. The Brunswick, we tend to gain, we're supposed to gain money on the new funding sources for the new bill that's up right now. Also, one of the candidates who we'll see, whatever, one of the candidates who's running right now, he has promised right now, first of all, to cancel the Parks exams, which is going to bring in millions of dollars, because that cost the city millions of dollars, to fund the Parks exam. He also promised a moratorium on charter schools, which drain money from the school systems also. So any monies that we're saying that was coming out of New Brunswick is coming out, I think long-term solutions, I think that whenever we have a redevelopment project like this, it's going to bring jobs, it's going to bring more people into the city and give more people opportunities. That's my take on it.
Okay, so was there any research done into the extent of the impact this project will have
I
on the
just told
school
you what
system?
my research was. I'll tell you what.
Mr. Council
Yes.
President.
I didn't hear anything about
Patterson.
that,
We're
actually.
asking research and review. Mr. Patterson can probably answer that.
This project is a high-rise project. Most of the units in here are studios and one-bedrooms, which typically don't have families with children in them. So the project would not be expected to generate any significant number of children. So I don't think the project would cause the need to hire additional teachers or build a new school. It's just not that big. Typically when we've looked at the school-age children coming out of some of the other apartment complexes in the downtown area, there have been very few that have been going to New Brunswick Public Schools, just because there are very few children living in these types of units. So it should not have any kind of significant impact on the costs for the school system.
But there are two-bedroom units, and there are so-called affordable housing. Can you tell me what the rents will be on the affordable units?
Approximately.
Be roughly around from about $600 up to around $1,200. Some are designated for low-income population, others more moderate income population, and the rents vary based on the size of the unit.
And how about the rents for the other units?
The developer will be setting those as the project comes online, but I imagine they will be whatever the market is for that type of units, be similar to other projects like the View and the Aspire, George, and so forth.
Can you tell me what interest rate the borrowing will be done at, the RAB? I guess that's the next ordinance, but it's related.
Well, the market changes daily, so I can't really say what rate it's going to be. I mean, we do have some estimates as to what we're hoping the interest rate was, and what was our last projection? Do you remember?
Approximately 4%.
And what is the city's current credit rating?
Our current credit rating is an A+.
And is the council aware of what's going to be done with the revenue from the pilot payments? That it's actually, are you aware of what's?
Yes, no, debt service, yes.
Yeah, it's all going to pay off the debt. So there's, unless there's a tremendous revenue above what's expected, all of the pilot money is being spent today for the next 30 years. That's, you're aware of that, okay? And you got the gist of it, that I have concerns about using these pilot agreements because they do hurt the school system. They do not provide for any funding whatsoever for the schools. They basically are a way for developers to avoid paying the school taxes and instead giving a kickback or a big payment to the city to avoid that. And I don't think that that's a good practice. That said, there are some good things about this building, and I do think that having the developer essentially fund this art space is a good thing in general. But I'm concerned because it's also paired with an even larger amount of borrowing later on here to build something that we already kind of have a lot of, which would be parking decks. This is going to be a 344 space parking deck, and you want to borrow $23 million to do that as well. So I think that that's, it was said that the city's contribution is the borrowing, and basically agreeing to use that whole pilot to pay it down. But there's also $23 million that you're guaranteeing from the parking authority. If the parking authority defaults, the city taxpayers are on the hook. So I am very much concerned about that. And what can you tell me about the impact this might have on the city's A+ credit rating? Can you give any assurance that this isn't going to mean another lowering of the rating?
Well, there's no guarantees of anything, but certainly the parking authority has been very self-sufficient. And if anyone tries to park around town, downtown, they realize parking's always at a premium. The use of that parking deck will be primarily in the evenings and weekends used for the theaters, but right behind you is the Middlesex County Courthouse, which draws a number of people in every day, as well as the county building, as well as City Hall even for some excess. So I mean, there's always a large demand both during the day and at night and on weekends for the parking deck. So it's expected that the parking deck will be self-sufficient.
Can you tell me if there's anything at all this project does for the schools?
What is,
I'm sorry?
what does the project do for the schools?
As part of the presentation, we talked about some of the programming that the theaters have for cultural education for our school children. Having this type of a cultural center in town is a very positive benefit for the residents here. It's not just going to the shows at night, it's the other types of programming that they do.
And Council President, keep in mind that all of this land we're talking about is currently tax exempt right now, so there's not a loss of tax revenue to either us or the school.
Thanks for that. So there'll be free shows that through the district, students of all ages will be able to attend.
Go ahead.
The Georgia City Office Program was there having a touring program where they go out to the schools and sort of an in-residence type program there. They also, I believe, have programs where they bring school children from various different schools, not just from other schools, down there. I don't know that they are free, but I know they are relatively reduced cost. So they have a lot of different educational programs that they do.
Thank you. I just wanted to elicit that because I do think that the schools are not always served by the, development projects that the city is bending over backwards to support with agreements like Pilot that actually hurt the schools and take away from what they would be getting if this was taxed at a regular rate. So, I don't think it's the best way to proceed, but thank you for clarifying.
I just want to add that dance now, which will be for the community.
Yeah.
And these are third graders that are receiving that. My daughter was one of receiving a participated in dance family. It's a great program. My daughter is 23, so it has been going on for a while. So I think it's where, and I know people that the children have been part of it, and the children have been able to continue with Princeton Ballet, and they give them scholarships. So it's a great program. So it's something that we need to remember also, that our kids, besides the one that are coming to the theater when they spread news, I think that most of the time is free. But that they, that they offer to the schools and the programs they do have dance panel that is free. So we just need to be clear that we understand that also.
Yeah, great program. Thank you for clarifying.
Just wanted to clarify also, Mr. Krebels, indicated, this is a good project, but it's a positive project. The city wants to help support this and is making this contribution through the wrap-on. In order to be able to do the wrap-on, the only way you're allowed to do that under the statute is to have a pilot agreement. So you have to have it. It's one of the steps that you have to have.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You have to have what?
You have to have a pilot.
You have to have a project.
Okay, thanks for explaining that. I just think there might have been perhaps a different way to structure the funding that wouldn't have left the schools without funding. And I think that all 22-story buildings that you put up should benefit the school district. It sounds like there are some things that this will do to benefit the school district, but I don't agree with taking away the tax revenue that they would otherwise be getting. I think that the schools need that money, and there's going to clearly be children living in the building, and it doesn't sound like the council did the research.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
I'd like to be heard. Can this project be built without the housing component?
No,
And that's because it cannot get the financing?
because the principal amount the significant amount of the financing that's happening is coming from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority through the urban residential program. And it's the selling of those tax credits that we're doing to Citibank and to another people that's actually going into the residential project. And $11 million of that capital is going into this building. And then without, obviously, the $18 million of the proceeds of the RAB. Between the two of those, it makes up about $29 million of the $30 million.
I could just say, I've already made my views known to the administration. I do not support the location of this project. I think it's in the wrong place, and it does nothing to unify the redevelopment of New Brunswick with French Street or with Easton Avenue. I think it's in the wrong place. It should be opposite the railroad station. If we were really interested in people coming in there, we would put it near mass transportation, and you know that you have made another road, my property was taken, to put a road through, to put more traffic in front of the railroad station. No new railroad station has been built. There could be an overpass from the railroad station right into the Ferrin site, and that's where this project should have been built. And I oppose the city supporting it financially.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none? Oh, move the ordinance. Second.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, we have number 2, bond ordinance for the funding of improvements to the theater portion of the New Brunswick Cultural Center redevelopment project in the city of New Brunswick, in the county of Middlesex, the state of New Jersey, appropriating $18,500,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuances of not to exceed $18,500,000 bonds or notes to finance the part of the cost thereof. Anybody from the public like to speak on this one? Seeing none? Seeing none, move the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. 3, an ordinance authorizing the guarantee of the city of New Brunswick and the county of Middlesex, state of New Jersey, not exceeding $23 million, the aggregate principal amount of the city guaranteed parking revenue bond, series 2017, of the parking authority of the city of New Brunswick. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this one?
Good evening once again, Council. Charles Prattville, New Brunswick today. I get the total amount of debt that the parking authority is currently in.
Say that one more time.
How much debt does the parking authority currently have prior to your adoption of this ordinance?
Actually, the parking authority currently has $235,975,000 worth of debt.
So this would put it over $250 million.
I'm coming to $259,275,482.48.
How badly do we need this parking deck? Yeah, I'm asking, I mean, you live in town.
Yeah, too. And
You
parking,
think
coming
we're
down
really
to
need
parking, if I didn't have, when I'm on official business, of course, parking at City Hall, it's hard to find parking. It is, I mean, it's, like, this is like any other city, you know, during the day before, trying to get out of the city at 4:30, or trying to get in and looking for parking, it's packed. So, I'm saying I think it's necessary.
I'm aware that the Farron was, closed and destroyed, and the Wolfson was closed and destroyed. But I know that around that same time, we also put the Gateway parking deck online. That's 656 spaces, and the Wellness parking deck's 1,200 spaces. Can you tell me, do the Gateway or the Wellness decks ever fill up? Are they ever at capacity, or do they have space at all times?
Council President, I can't speak on that, but I can speak on the fact that I know that there was a feasibility study done for this parking deck, and I've asked Lisa Gora to maybe give us some of the details. Lisa's from Willens Goldman and Spitzer.
As with every parking authority financing, bond resolution requires that the city conduct a feasibility study, a professional feasibility entity, and this parking deck, as the others have been shown to have coverage between approximately 1.2% over what, so what it means is it's 120% that it can cover itself by 120% revenues and occupancy.
Okay, and who did the feasibility study?
I can get that for you. What was it? I'm gonna pull that, so yeah, hold on. Bear with me. Level G Associates.
It's one of the 3 consultants that the parking authority has on board. How about the Morris Street deck? Does that ever fill up? I'm under the impression that it's never at capacity.
No, all the parking decks are not at full capacity. You don't have to wait for every other parking space in the city to be filled 24 hours a day before you build another parking deck. This deck is being built to address several different user bases. One is the residential and office components that are part of this project. As Mr. Cradwell knows from attending the site plan hearings on this, that's a requirement that the project has to show how they're going to park the people who are going to be in this facility. It is also a parking facility that will be used for the patrons that come into the cultural center at night. Council, as you were making reference to before, it is also a deck that is well suited for the users of the county courthouse and the county administration building right across the street from us here tonight to be able to use. And as you know, many of the users of that come from the other areas of Middlesex County, suburban type areas where they don't have mass transit options to come here into the city and are probably going to be using cars. So this makes it a very well located facility for those types of users. So there are a number of different user bases that this parking facility will address. And as Ms. Gorab said, feasibility study has shown that there would be adequate demand for it, so that there has adequate revenue to pay back the bonds.
It is true, though, that there won't be any parking authority employees on site?
Is that true?
I believe at the site plan, they talked about using automated systems to do that, which is used in many of the decks. So you don't have to pay a person at the gate, you pay before you go and pick up your car.
Well, thanks for everybody answering all my questions. I just still question whether or not we need a 344 space parking deck on this block, when in the past few years we've greenlit 2 other enormous parking decks nearby. $23 million is a lot of money, and even if the parking authority can make it back, I don't necessarily think it's the best use of the land. And I think that as we move towards a society and a city that is less dependent on automobiles and more, transit-oriented or bike-friendly, pedestrian-friendly, that, we could conceivably regret building another 344-space parking deck and borrowing $23 million to do it. And if the society does change and the parking deck doesn't make as much money as we think it'll make today, then the taxpayers are on the hook for all that money we borrowed. And seeing as how the parking authority's already racked up $235 million in debt, I would ask you kindly to not greenlight another $23 million in debt that the taxpayers will be on the hook for. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question, Mr. Harrison, how much would the residents of the residential town will be paying for parking? Do you have an idea? Because they will have to pay for it.
That's the parking authority for that.
The market rent.
Whatever the market rent or market rates that the parking authority
And
charges.
that would include also the low-income and moderate-income families that will have to pay market rate for those spaces?
Yeah, if they have a car, if you want to have a car, you pay for it. If you don't have a car, then you don't have to pay for the parking.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none? Move the resolution. There we go. The ordinance. Say that.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar,
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig,
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, we're on 4. Ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the City of New Brunswick, Title 13, Public Services, Chapter 13-04. Excuse me. Water Service System, Section 13-04010, water rates. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this one?
Good evening once again. Charles Cranville, New Brunswick Today. Can any member of the council tell me how big of a increase you are about to approve for the water rates?
Yes.
Could the council tell me?
Yes, but.
You are approving a 5% increase in 2018, a 6% increase in 2019, and a 6% increase in 2020. And you're doing that because, as I had indicated in a letter to you, that the New Jersey Water Supply Authority will be increasing its raw water charge to us next year in 2018 by 33.6%. They have to take on 2 major projects, the dredging of the DNR Canal in Franklin Township, and they are concerned about the main dam at Round Valley Reservoir not being structurally sound. They are charging all of their clients an increased raw water charge in 2018. So we have established what we think is a fair rate to charge our customers, including our municipal clients, for 2018. In 2019, we expect to take on $15.5 million worth of debt to rebuild the sedimentation basins at the treatment plant. We've talked about that a few times. So the 19 and 20 rate increases anticipate that kind of debt hitting our books. Most likely in 2019, but we did factor it into the 2018 rate increase.
Is that about, if I remember right, $3 a year, 51, 54, 57, something like that?
Well, if you can take someone's typical bill, which could be $100 a quarter. You know, when you apply a 5%, 6% increase on that, it's, you know, $5 a quarter. I think an average family of 4 has, you know, water and sewer consumption totaling about $200 a quarter. So I would think it's, you know, $5 a quarter would be the difference to a family of 4 in this community.
Thank you.
Can you tell me how big of a rate increase the Water Supply Authority is charging the city?
I maybe didn't understand me, but 33.6% in 2018.
33% increase
Yes.
in the cost of all
Yes.
the water. That's huge.
And we take 10.5 million, that's correct, it's huge, and that's why we're trying to adjust the rate on our side. But we do take 10.5 million gallons a day out of the DNR canal, so a 33% increase on that kind of purchase is a significant expense increase for us in 2018.
And the city still has a backup water source as well?
That is correct.
Okay, so are both online right now?
The only the Weston's Mill is online right now, and we are doing some lead paint removal out of the DNR canal pump station. We've talked about that before. That's ongoing now, so we've switched over to the Weston's Mill. We also switched over there initially until we got the carbon feed system in place. So now that we can address this hydrilla fluorodome issue, that will be with us for the rest of the summer.
Thank you. Did I hear correctly that the average homeowner's water bill is about $200? Is that?
I said water and sewer.
Water and sewer, about
And
$200.
I'm averaging a family of 4.
Gotcha. And can you tell me what percentage of households are only charged the minimum quarterly charge?
No, I can't answer that question tonight. We can double check our records and get you an answer.
Thank you. Could maybe the water director right now?
Actually, I think I need some.
Okay, fair enough. I guess that's all on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public in this one? All right.
Move the ordinance.
Second. Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, we're on 5, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the city of New Brunswick, Title 13, Public Services, Chapter 13-08, Sewer Service System, Section 13-08-340, a schedule of charges, sewer rates. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this one?
Good evening once again, Charles Craddock, New Brunswick Today. Can any member of the council tell me the increase that you are proposing for these sewer rates tonight?
Right, we're not afraid to delegate.
I can tell.
I know you probably got all the numbers and all that other stuff, but that's why we floated over.
If I were on the council, I would care how much.
I do.
increase.
No.
So how much is it?
But
I can tell you specifically, we have seen it before, we just don't remember what it is.
You don't remember what it is?
No, but I remember it wasn't,
You remember it being acceptable?
million, acceptable, right?
What we're asking you to act on tonight is a 5% increase effective July 1 of this year. There is a rate adjustment that we think is necessary for the remaining 6 months of 2017. And then we are proposing 5% increases in the rate for 18, 19, and 20. And the reason we feel we need to adjust the rate at July 1st of 2017 is 2 things. Our charges at the NCUA, they are the organization who, as you know, takes our sewage, treats it, they bill us for that, and their rates have changed, or their charges to us have spiked a few times in the last couple of years, such to a point where we had to defer some 2016 surcharges we owed them into 17, 18, and 19. We'd like to get even with them again. And then probably more significant than that is we are adding now 600 pounds of carbon to the raw water that enters the treatment plant. And that is to, while it's got smell and odor properties, it improves the water in that regard. We're adding the carbon, as we talked about in the last two meetings, to address the fluoridome that the New Jersey Water Supply Authority is putting in the DNR canal to stunt the growth of that invasive plant, hydrilla. So we believe the carbon is going to eliminate the fluoridome to a point where it's a non-detect in our water. But the fact of the matter is 600 pounds of carbon falls to the bottom of the basins, and that's got to get washed out every quarter, and we send that big blob of sludge to the MCUA, and they will charge us for that.
Okay, interesting. So that's 600 pounds of carbon per month, year, or is it just a one-time?
600 pounds a day for the next 4 months until the Water Supply Authority stops adding fluoridome to the water.
Okay, and how do you get the sludge to the MCUA? Does it go through pipes, or do you drive it?
It goes through pipes.
Pipes, okay.
We wash it down, it goes out in our sewer system. So we are charged for suspended solids that spike when we wash out the sedimentation basins.
Right, so I wanted to ask, I see one rate for residential and commercial, and I see 3 different rates for industrial. Can you explain the difference between, I guess the first one is flow, the second one is BOD, and the third one being suspended solids? Can you explain the difference between those things?
I can't. I can tell you what suspended solids are. BOD is biological oxygen demand. I couldn't tell you what that really means. Suspended solids is exactly what it sounds like. But I would...
What does it sound like?
Little bits of particulate in the water that go through a meter, and the MCUA measures that, and they bill us for the amount of it being in the flow.
You mentioned MCUA increased their rates. Do you know by how much?
No, but what I meant to say was that their charges to us spiked because of activity in our system.
Understood. And so this is a 5% increase that will affect only the second half of this year. And then is there a rate increase set for 2018 or not? Or is it going to stay where it is?
No, I think I said 5% for 18, 5% for 19, 5% for 20.
And that's already on the books? That's already been adopted? Or?
No, where I'm asking the council to adopt.
Oh, that's in this? It's in this ordinance? Oh, okay. I got, yeah, I see there's columns. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none, the ordinance.
Second. Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, now we're on to resolutions.
Consent agenda, we were going to hold 76 and 77
That's
until...
because we got to afterwards, okay.
And 56 has been pulled, Mr. Council President.
All right, clerk, we duly know that. Got it, thank you. All right, so besides the ones that we're holding, we have resolutions 06741 all the way up to 061778. Anybody from the public like to speak on the resolutions? Please remember, you have 5 minutes, and please give your name and address for the record.
Good evening once again, Charles Krasno, New Brunswick, New Brunswick Today. Start with 747, Detective Bornheimer's case. Can you tell me the status update on that case?
Status on the second case.
Still in discovery. It's, to my knowledge, the trial date is set, and we're still in the discovery phase.
Still in discovery phase.
Can you tell me who the other defendants are besides Detective Bornheimer?
Off the top of my head, I cannot, but there are a few other city police officers involved in that particular case, along with the city of New Brunswick. I can get you that information, Mr. President, tomorrow. I'll have a file.
Is the police director one of them?
I don't know.
You think-
It might be, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Um,
Don't recall.
Detective Bornheimer has resigned, is that correct?
I don't know that to be the case either. I don't know what the status is of Detective Bornheim.
Could you ask Captain Miller? Detective Bornheimer is active?
My recollection is he retired.
Does anybody know if he's collecting a pension?
I didn't even know he was retired.
Me?
I don't, but I'm sure he was pursuing one.
755, can you explain the need for this ordinance, please, or this resolution?
This particular resolution is done on an annual basis, and the reason for it is because a member of council is a member of the local Elks Lodge. Technically, is a conflict for that particular council member to renew the application for the liquor license. So this is a consent resolution which is sent to the ABC. In effect, the ABC acts upon the renewal of the license for this particular establishment.
Right, and that's because it's actually not just one member, but at least two members of the council are Elks. Is that correct?
It might be. I think Mr. Anderson.
Very proud.
And Mr. Egan. Yeah.
And how about the new council member? Is she an Elk?
Me? No, I am.
So I have an issue with this because I see a few resolutions later, I guess 760 is a list of what I can only think are liquor license renewals, approvals, and I see NB Lodge 324 on the list. Does that mean that the Elks Lodge is being approved, or is that a different?
Clerk will answer that question.
Yeah, that, we used a renewal template from last year. It should have been erased.
Okay.
It should have been erased.
So the council will adopt this without NB Lodge 324?
Correct.
Correct. Next.
I think he had the best people on there.
Okay. Well,
It was my grandfather, he was an exalted.
really? Okay. So I have some other questions about 760, if you'll indulge me. I want to just understand NB Cultural Center, that's, I guess, one liquor license for all of the theaters.
Yes.
350 LLC, would I know that establishment?
I don't recall the address. We have almost 100 licenses.
Right, and I noticed the address field is left blank. Is that on purpose?
No, that should be.
Okay, because yeah, if the addresses were here, I wouldn't need to ask. But how about Tiger Group?
That's the Panico's, the pizza place across from Panico's.
Pizza place across from Panico's, also known as Panico's. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
They both-
two
both-
liquor licenses though.
Okay, good to know. And then Anasil Corp. The final three, I don't know any of these. Anasil Corp.
It's a liquor
At-
store on
Joyce Gilmer.
around.
Gotcha. 253 Route 27 Inc.
Corona Bar.
Corona Bar. And then the last one is 3 CBRP Goods LLC. Three Corners. Gotcha, thank you.
Excellent work.
Yes.
759, there's a disciplinary hearing. Can you tell me what the outcome of the hearing was?
You know, I'm not going to tell you the name, Mr. Crabbe, because we don't do that, but this hearing
Not
never
anymore.
actually concluded. It was resolved by way of a settlement, so that represents Mr., I should call him Judge Ferentz's services in connection with it up until that point.
So was there a hearing or no?
There was about to be a hearing, and there was some prep work by the judge, but there was never a hearing.
Hearing was called off, it was
Correct.
resolved.
Correct.
The employee is still employed.
Tell you the truth, I don't remember on this particular one.
Can you tell me what position they held?
No,
Can you tell me what department they worked in?
no.
I don't think this is very transparent. I think if,
Well, I didn't say I remembered it. I don't even remember, to tell you the truth.
well, I just, I think we have a right to know which folks are being accused of misbehavior on the job. Since they're public employees, we should know whether it's a cop or a firefighter or a housing inspector or a water utility employee.
Employees have rights too with respect to privacy on personnel issues. And personnel issues are not open to public discussion in a public forum such as this.
I understand, but you could refer to them by their title, no? I mean, is it a secret that somebody from the water utility was subject of a hearing, or is
We
that?
don't do that either, Mr. Crabbe.
Okay, and that's part of a new policy this year.
Right.
Okay. Well, I respectfully disagree with the policy. 767, award of contract. Can you tell me, was this the lowest bidder that won?
767, current appropriate.
They were the middle bidder out of 3.
Okay, why didn't you pick the lowest bidder?
I deemed this a more advantageous arrangement for the city. I don't think the low bidder knows our employees or our health benefit structure, and I recommended that we renew with BGIA.
Okay, and I'll draw your attention to the second paragraph of the resolution. It says the city received 7 proposals. So did the city receive 3 proposals or 7 proposals?
We received 7, 3 for the traditional contract that you're speaking of, and 4 for the HMO product that is the resolution just above it.
Okay. And was there a reason those bids were they done together, or?
They're done together, but they are 2 separate, we consider them 2 separate fair and opens, and they were opened at the same time or minutes after each other. But the purchasing agent referred to them as 7 total proposals.
Okay, but if
It
it was 2 separate.
wasn't intended to be deceitful.
I'm sure, but it overstates the number of proposals in both resolutions, I think. So respectfully, that should be changed. Can you tell me what the other one, Corporate Synergies Group, were they the lowest bidder?
They were the second low bidder. Someone bid $0. I didn't think that was a professional, realistic proposal.
Understood. So 770 is Prutech Solutions. This says it's software for the library. Is this software or is this hardware?
This is proprietary software in conjunction or in connection with the new ID program that the city is about to launch. And this particular software is software that actually identify if a document is a real document or a counterfeit document. And it's proprietary in that regard. And that's the purpose of this particular award.
Understood. So this is not, the library still has to buy 2 machines on top of that?
No.
No.
Let me clarify that. As a member of the library board, this is both hardware and software. Hardware and the software is embedded in the hardware, so it is both.
Okay, and so this is 1 machine. I believe it was said they might buy 2?
1 machine.
Just 1 for now. Okay. 771, can I get an update on this cofferdam repairs?
Please, the council, last year we had the project bid, the return bids were approximately double the engineer's estimate, so we had to go out and we're preparing to rebid it right now. This is to re-inspect the cofferdam. In fact, the consultant suggests that there may be a different product that we can use that'll actually should lower the cost. So this is them to do a partial redesign, but also to go back and re-inspect the cofferdam because it hasn't been inspected in about, I'm going to say 20 months.
Thanks. So 773, 774, and 775 are all big healthcare contracts. Can you tell me how these contracts were arrived at with these folks? Was there a public bidding process?
Not a public bidding process, but we have our brokers receive other proposals from the marketplace.
And those brokers being,
BGIA and corporate synergies.
gotcha. I do want to ask about the final one here, 778 Family Friendly Center. Is there a physical location for the Family Friendly Center?
Dave Blevins may want to answer that.
Yes, it's the Red Shaw Studio site. It's been in operation since, I think, 1995, 1996.
Thanks, and I saved this one for last, 769. You're paying $900 to the special counsel for the Board of Ethics. Can you tell me, is it true that Mr. Vignolo is under investigation by that very board?
I don't know if I would say investigation, but I know that Mr. Credible filed a complaint with the Ethics Board against Mr. Vignolo for not filing a financial disclosure form, and that matter is pending before the Ethics Board. But Mr. Vignolo has been handling this matter, which involves another complaint by Mr. Credible, and I believe it's at the Office of Administrative Law at the moment, and that's what this particular bill goes to.
I think it's an embarrassment to the Ethics Board that he's still being paid to represent them in any capacity. He needs to be removed from office. He's an ethics violator.
Thank you. Anybody else on the resolutions?
I want to speak on Council Resolution 17. George Dawson, Overwhelming Place, the City Historian, member of the Brunswick Historical Association, and Vice Chair of the Friends of Monmouth Battlefield, was one of the co-hosts of this event on July 4th. This is George Washington's celebration of American independence through the American Army. It is not his celebration of what Congress did in 1776. It's a celebration of what the Army had just did a week ago at Monmouth Battlefield, in which they victoriously drove the British Army from the field of battle. And this is Washington's own Declaration of Independence, 2 years after Congress passed their declaration. Congress could not approve independence by itself. Indeed, the American Army to do that. He is declaring with this salute to the Army, which is being reenacted on July 4th again, that the American Army was winning the war for independence. Independence was on its way. So Pennsylvania has a habit of saying that America started in Philadelphia because that's where the Declaration of Independence was approved by Congress. Well, America, what George Washington is saying, but America also started a little bit in New Brunswick, even more than it did in Philadelphia. And that's the main impact of this major salute. Involves, it's a four-de-war salute, a four-de-war, fire of joy, and it involves the American troops lying 2 miles along the Brunswick border on the river to fire muskets in succession twice, and American artillery to fire 13 cannon shots, loud enough so the British could hear it in Sandy Hook, which is where the British Army was at that time. You haven't approved the resolution yet, right? No, God, I hope you do. Also, I want to remark on the Council's approval 2 weeks ago of the reconstruction work on Buffalo Mansion, which is involved in this salute, though it hasn't been available for its celebration because of the renovation work being needed. It's actually one of the largest colonial houses ever built on the East Coast. It's same as large, it's 2.5 stories, as large as Mount Vernon, and it has a story rooftops widow's walk on the Gamble roof, so people can go to the rooftop to look for returning sailors on the Raritan River. Mount Vernon does not have a rooftop walk for look for returning sailors, even though it's named for a British sailor. So it's a very important structure which hasn't got that much attention with the renovation. It will, and it'll be, and it's a balcony on the structure which George Washington and presumably the other generals here, Lafayette, Wayne, and so forth, used to complete the review of the American Point of Law along the waterfront. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else on the resolution? Seeing none?
Majority of the resolution.
Second?
Council Vice President Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar,
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig. Yes. Council President Fleming.
Yes. Now we're going into the public hearing.
That's correct. Mr. Council President, we have, back to D1, we have the continuation, termination conditions, ABC license, First Civ Inc., trading as New Tierra Bar, license number 1214-33-047-005. Mr. Gussis, IC, is present representing the licensee on this particular application. For the purposes of the record of the public, I'll read the special conditions that were imposed at the time of last renewal. It is my understanding from speaking to Mr. Gussis, unless it's changed, that his client has no opposition to the reimposition of the special conditions for 2017 and 2018. That being said, the special conditions are as follows. Licensee shall hire uniformed private security to maintain security on and about the licensed premises while the premises are open for business during the hours of 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. The licensee shall also furnish monthly written reports of the names and addresses of such individuals so employed in the New Brunswick Police Department Attention Special Investigations Unit. 2, licensee shall maintain order on and within the licensed premises. 3, licensee shall police the sidewalk adjoining the licensed premises each day that the premises is open for business. 4, licensee shall not alter the layout of the premises from that shown in the sketch previously filed with the city clerk without a further resolution of council. 5, licensee shall continue the use of the existing video cameras, shall annotate all film for time and date, shall maintain said tapes for at least 30 days. And 6, licensee shall be in compliance with Ordinance O-029609 as amended relative to educational requirements for owners and managers. These special conditions have been in place during the last license year, 16-17. ABC Officer Detective Ryan DeGraw is here. The tavern report has been submitted to council. If you want to hear from Detective DeGraw relative to this establishment, I'm sure he'll be prepared to answer any questions. But Mr. Gussis, as I indicated before, did indicate to me that he did not, on behalf of his client, have any objection to the reimposition of these special conditions. Is that true?
Only of these conditions.
I'm sorry?
There's going to be a public hearing. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so I have no idea what the public will say.
Right.
But if these are the conditions, my client will accept them.
Okay. Having said that, you can open it up for a public hearing to see if anyone wants to leave.
Here, DeGraw.
Yes, can we hear from the officer?
Sure. Detective DeGraw, why don't you just highlight, if you would, you can go to your report, your tab report, if you need to, regarding the operation of licensed premises, and if you're of the opinion that these special conditions that have been so imposed have assisted the licensee in maintaining some issues that, or controlling some issues that the council is concerned about.
Good evening. For the license here in question, the establishment was a source of 35 calls for service based on a cab report. 20 of those calls, confirm that, I believe it was 20. Yes, 20 of those calls were related to disturbances and or disorderly conduct complaints. I had 0 noise complaints. The establishment's at a busy intersection. Sometimes it can be the victim of its location. at times is a victim of its own operation. It does appear that the security personnel there, they're present in accordance with the ordinance. It does appear that they serve to aid the licensee in preventing major issues. He does comply with the upkeep in the exterior as well as security cameras. He's helpful when we do ask for security footage. It does seem that I believe it seems that the conditions are necessary and they do continue to aid the licensee.
Mr. President, how would you compare that to the year before? Do you remember? Okay.
I don't recall the exact numbers offhand.
The comments I would like to make is that Mitiera has the misfortune of being on a corner opposite a park that the city built. So if you look at the 5 discovery reports, I don't know if you gave them to the council, you will see that almost all of those occurred outside and some of them had nothing to do with the bar. And there's the location at the corner. A corner property, as you know, has 2 front yards. So across the street you have Walgreens and you have that whole busy intersection. Last year I gave you the pictures of the site if the council would like to see them. If it has any inclination to change the location, I mean the restrictions.
I don't think that council, with all due respect to Mr. Gussis, has any concern about that at this time. Let's open it up to the public and see if there's anyone from the public who has any issues, and then maybe we could, if we need to, look at the photos. Is that okay, Mr.
That's
Council?
okay. Would anybody from the public like to speak on BTL? See none?
Mr. Gussis, for the record then, if the council is so inclined to reimpose these special conditions, your client has no objection to it?
That's correct.
Okay.
Gussis, how would you compare the previous year to this year, yourself?
Well, except that the park isn't being
Right.
policed as far as the bar is. I think the bar has improved.
Do you think any of those patrons who visited the bar have a tendency to move over to the park?
No, they were there. They were there before, and now fewer people apparently are going there. You had some homeless people sleeping in the park. And that has increased.
If the council wants to go into closed session, we can do that to discuss it. If not, the proposed resolution submitted in the consent agenda packet, which was held from vote on consent agenda, does recite the special conditions that were imposed last license term, are here for your consideration for the 17-18 license term that we could adopt it.
So we'll be approving
Would you approve the special conditions that I read, the ones that Mr. Gussis' client consents to, the same ones that were in effect last license term?
All right. So we can close.
Are you good with that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's close the hearing.
Okay, so officially close this hearing for this one, this
Right.
particular one.
Right, and then if you want to entertain a motion to adopt R-061776.
All right, we make a motion to adopt R dash.
Motion made.
All right.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar,
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig,
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, now we have the second public hearing.
The matter before the council for public hearing is number 2 on your D section. The Gala Cafe and Restaurant Inc. trading as the Gala Cafe and Restaurant, liquor license 1214-33007-003. Again, Mr. Gus is present representing the licensee. I understand Mr. Gus does want to make a presentation on behalf of his client. But before we get to that and open it up to the public, I would like to read the special condition that was imposed at the time of renewal for 16-17, which is as follows. Number 1, licensee shall hire uniformed private security to maintain security on and about the licensed premises while the premises are open for business during the hours of 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Licensee shall also furnish monthly written reports of names and addresses of such individuals so employed to the New Brunswick Police Department Attention Special Investigations Unit. And 2, all live and recorded music shall be turned off no later than 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday evenings, and 11 p.m. on Sunday evenings. Those are the special conditions that have been in place. As the council may recall, the last renewal hearing we had, the city council had agreed to allow private security, as they did with Tierra, quite frankly. There was a slight modification to the live and recorded music cessation times on the Friday and Saturday evenings. But at this point, they stand at 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and 11 p.m. on Sundays. If Detective DeGraw wants to just give us an overview, as he did with Tierra, and then we'll open it up to the public.
Did we also say that, no, Friday, Saturday, Sunday too, we put it at 11?
Sunday evenings is 11 p.m., correct?
For the course of the time period we utilized for the tavern report, this establishment was a source of 39 calls for service. 12 of them were related to disturbances and disorderly persons, and 9 were related to noise. The establishment's in a residential neighborhood, backs up pretty close proximity to homes. It has a very small parking lot, a lot of patrons and travel by foot or by taxi. The security company does seem to be doing a fair job. I did receive via Mr. Gus's the reports regarding who was the security company and that they were in fact there. I did see them there as well myself.
Right. Just for the record, Mr. Gus has supplied the reports recently. The detective special investigations hadn't had them monthly. I think we resolved that issue. I think Mr. Gus has advised his client that they need to be done monthly as opposed to several months at a time, just to make sure. But I know the police department has been monitoring the establishment as well to ensure that there's security in place consistent with your restrictions.
I would just like to say they were done monthly, except that they had not been submitted.
So now I understand, I'm saying submitted monthly as required under
Right.
condition 1.
Right.
But that's been clarified, now it'll be submitted every month.
Just the restriction, with regard to security, we have no objections to continuing the security. We had police security that became very costly. It went from $30,000 a year to $84,000 a year. So the city was gracious enough to amend that. But for 4 years, we appealed to the ABC, the music restriction. So when we had the settlement with regard to the security, the decision had already come out from the state of New Jersey, but we agreed that the music restriction should stay for that year. But we're asking you to remove the music restriction. I have the opinion from the ABC, and it said the judge who issued and remember, we had 4 consolidated hearings. So my client during that whole time, he was paying $84,000, wasn't allowed to have his normal hours that every bar in the city had. The city said, this is the director of the ABC saying this, the administrative law judge, hereinafter judge, concluded that New Brunswick's decision to impose a special condition requiring police officer employment was reasonable and supported by the record. However, the judge found that the city's decision to impose a special restriction condition restricting live and recorded music was improper. I have 5 copies of it. If you'd like to see it, go into caucus to consider that. Now, the other thing I want to bring to your attention is, in the appeal, and Mr. Shami is the one that handled it, there was in the petition, there was a presentation and inclusion of every resolution for the year 2000. In the year 2010, 2011, the restriction that you now hear was suspended so that he was allowed to have the normal music. The same thing happened in the year 2011, 2012. It was suspended. So he is asking that you consider letting him have the regular music hours. If there's any issue, you can deal with it with a special hearing, or you can do it at the next renewal hearing. But I think right now he's been punished for 10 years, and I think enough is enough.
So do you want us to go back to the police and then increase the music hours?
I would like the music hours to be the way every bar in the city has it.
Then everybody has to act like the same, right?
Pardon?
I would imagine all the bars have to act the same.
Oh, the other thing I would like to say, for someone to say that Commercial Avenue is a residential area is really a misnomer. I was born and raised in the city. The best building on Commercial Avenue happens to be his. And if you all take a trip down there, you'll see it. You'll see all the condemned buildings, the empty lots, the seediness of that area, and he has endured during that period of time there, and he hasn't gotten any support. He didn't get any tax abatement. He didn't get any benefits from the city, no redevelopment, and he survived. And I think that you should help him by taking this restriction away.
No, I live around the corner.
So I'm sure you can appreciate
I've
what I'm
walked
saying.
Commercial Avenue many times.
Right.
And I think there are some other buildings that are nice and people are trying to fix up different things. I think it basically had to do with the noise, the level, people being on the streets, being so loud, especially in the summertime sometimes.
Well, that may be true, but you also had one neighbor who was hearing noises when the music wasn't even on.
Right, we don't have anything from him anymore.
If council wants to go into closed session to discuss this, we could, but I would just like to state, just for historical purposes, when we modified the special conditions last year and the council adopted the resolution with those modified special conditions, that was with consent of the licensee. You gave up the uniformed police officer for security, private security. I thought the reason behind that keeping up the music at the levels that it did, because you wanted to ensure that with private security, the music wouldn't be a problem, as opposed to taking all restrictions off. So, you know, you have one or the other. I think the detective has indicated that the status quo has been working out pretty well. But having said that, you have before you, obviously, a request by Mr. Gussis for all, and am I understanding you correctly, all restrictions as to cessation of music or live bands to be removed. That's
Well, I don't think that he has live bands. It's a question he has recorded music.
okay. Well, recorded or live is what the resolution.
And just remember, when that, and if you live, I don't know how long you've lived in that area.
58 years.
Okay, 58 years, so you know that it was the Pizza Mill Commercial Tavern. The occupancy of that, when it was that tavern, was 250. When Mr. Rodriguez bought that property and renovated it, he reduced the occupancy to 100. And he's never gotten credit for that. So you can imagine what you did with the restrictions, whether the restrictions were put on there as to the music, and who was the big noise was Mr. Barker on the next corner.
Just have one question. When you were talking about the time that the council back then took out the restrictions, the conditions,
Right.
what was the reasoning behind it? You know, did anything change at that time that the council decided that it was okay to take out those conditions?
If I may, those special conditions were stayed by the director of the ABC while the appeal was pending. That's what Mr. Gussis was referring to. That wasn't an action by this council.
Okay.
No, that's not true.
They were stayed.
This council suspended the, yes, I have the resolutions
Oh,
before we
oh,
take them out.
That's what I'm saying.
There were 2 years, the year 2000, 2 license years. The license year 2010, 2011, and 2011, 2012, the condition was suspended.
Right, and there was a provision in the resolution which stated that if there were to be a problem, that it could be revisited before this council.
So that's an option that we have.
No, it's not an option. Let me explain. The director of the ABC, after Mr. Gussis filed an appeal, said he doesn't like springing conditions because of the way it could perhaps surprise a licensee. So he struck that particular provision from the council's resolution. As the council is probably aware, you cannot put special conditions on a licensee mid-license term. You could only issue charges and impose a suspension. So the only opportunity the governing body has to put special conditions on a license is now. What the council at that time tried to do, as an accommodation to the licensee, is to put that condition in there, but then stay pending future issues. That has been determined by the director of the ABC to be unacceptable. So that's not an option for us anymore. It's either you give it or you don't, you take it away.
So based on the recommendations of the ABC that he appeal, and they say that we shouldn't be restricting, his opinion, the ABC,
Right.
is that we shouldn't be restricting the time.
I just want to correct
I
that.
just want to make sure that.
When the ABC made that decision, it had nothing to do with that because that springing condition no longer existed. It was an imposition of a limitation on the hours. It had nothing, the springing condition was only for the 2 years that ended 2/12.
Right.
2/13, you didn't have a springing condition. 2/14, you didn't have a springing condition. 2/15, you didn't have a springing condition. So right now, I don't think that was what the decision was based on, and I have the decision, I have the date. So the decision, the tentative decision that come down, we had to suffer for 4 years because each time, quite a bit of the judicial system where there are no juries is dysfunctional. You don't get continuous trials, so you get a day here, you get a day there. It went on for 4 years because every time he was ready to make a decision, it was another license here. And we went through the same thing again. And Mr. Rodriguez, in addition to paying the legal fee, the fees for the officers from the city, he had to suffer my legal fees too.
No, pro bono.
Right, well, some of mine is pro bono.
If memory serves right, I think we basically came to a compromise last year in that the hours would go less and therefore you wouldn't have to do the police.
I don't think so, Judge. I don't think so. I think the hours,
I brought it up, I think it was.
I have the hours of the resolution. And
I know, and that's why we talked about that compromise.
Yeah.
All right, hey, we'll shut down earlier, but you can just have your private security, you don't have to have the police, and that was the compromise
I
last
thought
year.
the compromise was you were gonna see what happened for a year to see if the limitation
That
should
was
be
part of it
taken off.
too, to
Yes.
see how it's going, it seems to be
Right.
working out pretty good
Right.
for now, so it's just a matter of whether, is a year enough, or do we need more?
Well, this is basically a Latin bar, and Latins enjoy music. And today we need levity, we need
Yes,
music.
we
and
do,
we need
Mr.
fun.
Gassis, yes. So my question is that, so I'm just trying to understand, so your client is agreeable to the conditions except the music, and he's looking to what?
We
The
want
Sunday one, the Friday?
We want the regular hours that everyone has to have music.
That would be?
Till 2 a.m.
Yes.
on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, and Monday morning.
Right.
That's what that would mean. Before, and I'm inclined to think the council might want to go into closed session. Before we do that, if Mr. Gussis is done, you have no more questions, maybe we can just see if anyone from the public is here to
Yes.
comment.
Anybody from the public want to comment on this particular license?
Okay.
Seeing none, we're going to adjourn for a minute, we're going to close
Okay, make
session.
a motion to go into closed
Okay,
session.
motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Council Vice President Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar,
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig,
Yes.
Council President Fleming.
Yes, now we're closed session.
For the record, the council went into closed session, executive session for purposes of discussing the police reports, the arguments of counsel, testimony of Detective DeGraw regarding the licensed establishment, the Gala Cafe and Restaurant, and especially with respect to the reimposition of special conditions for the license term 2017-2018. After consideration by council, I understand, is prepared to adopt a renewal resolution for the Gala Cafe this evening with the following special conditions. Number one being the same that it was last year, licensee shall hire uniformed private security to maintain security on or about the licensed premises. The premises are open for business during the hours of 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Licensee shall also furnish monthly written reports of names and addresses of such individuals so employed to the New Brunswick Police Department Attention Special Investigations Unit. And condition number two, all live and recorded music shall be turned off no later than 1:30 a.m. on Friday/Saturday morning and Saturday/Sunday morning and at 12 midnight on Sunday evenings. Those being the special conditions that I understand the council is prepared to impose with respect to this licensing. If that is the case, Resolution R-061777 is in its form as I just read, ready for adoption.
Make a motion.
So moved.
Any public comment?
Comments.
Oh. Anybody from the public like to speak on the amended resolution? Seeing none?
So moved.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar,
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig. Yes. Council President Fleming.
Yes. All right, so we can close this. Motion is,
The public hearings are concluded now.
public hearings are concluded. Now we'll go for item by discussion for the council. All right. This Saturday, we got Ciclavia, and it's going to be in the areas of, can you remind me, please?
Troop Avenue from Sedan Street to the Delavan, up to Jones, into Recreation Park, and also Feaster Park.
And the times are
11 to 4.
11 to 4. Also, I want to commend the Vulcan Pioneers and the everybody that took part in the Juneteenth celebration. It was a great celebration, even though we got caught in the rain, but we didn't allow the rain to deter us. And I just want to commend the fire director and this. If you could just extend our thank you and our gratitude to all the people that had to put it together. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, next step we'll bring in. Exactly. Anybody else? All right, so we can open this up to the public portion. Please remember that we have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Danielle Moore, 138 Market Street. I would like to make a good compliment tonight due to where the kids are out of school. And what I'm going to compliment on, I do not want that to interact with about the building and situation with the Board of Education. But what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that I'm really too happy about everything, the mayor and the city, but as a parent with this school year, I would say, and I hear a lot of parents saying that they thank the mayor, the city, the Board of Education for so many things where, like say, where it's not costing the parents so much money, enjoyment, I should say. Like, wow, for field day, wow, come on, you don't see other schools, live DJs, so much playing going on. It was wonderful. I would like to say also about the free swimming lessons, where free lunch. I just like to speak up that I have to say one thing with the mayor, compared to a lot of other townships, that how our children do get a lot of things where we don't have to pay out of our pocket for. And like I said, as a parent, seeing that, I hope they keep up the good work, because believe me, plenty of parents do appreciate that, compared to, like I said, other schools and things where you have to pay a lot of money to see your child doing the good things. So I will say, as a parent, I appreciate
We
that.
also have Play Safe this summer.
Yes, like I said, play safe, free swimming lessons. Like I said, quite a few things I will say free, and like I said, believe me, plenty of people appreciate that. I'm not saying that, like I said, to interact with what was going on with the building situation with Board of Education, or you overpopulating the schools or what. I'm not saying that, due to where I still feel with the building, it's not like you're saying, okay, only 1 bedroom, but are you going to be inspecting somebody you're really going to keep up? Like, wow, it's only, 2 people in a 1 bedroom? No, I still think that that's going to be a situation with, like I said, overpopulating our schools. But okay, and to the next one. That was where, now that Captain Miller's here, that was probably no parking on the other end with the teachers.
Yes.
Where someone was supposed to get back to me, is that how it's going to be for September also? time to go back to school?
I spoke to the Board of Education, that Delavan Street on the Rickshaw side has always been no parking. And the schools, both Livingston and Rickshaw, asked that to be enforced now. It was not enforced strictly before that, but that's why it's being enforced now at the recommendation of the schools.
Was that more teachers' cars going to be?
Any car. There's no parking.
Do we know if it was teachers?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Do we know if it was really teachers' cars?
It was anybody that was parking there, teachers or staff or just general public.
Will there be enough parking for teachers, staff?
That you'd have to ask the Board of Ed. I don't know.
And the reason why I speak about that, why I mentioned last year, due to where the situation where that's residential parking, will the city give the teachers a pass for parking in the neighborhood so they will not get tickets?
Again, that's the Board of Education.
That's the Board of Ed. Board of Education.
But the city deals with public parking, so how will the Board of Education know if their teachers?
That'd be the parking.
Yeah.
I would think the Board of Ed can have a conversation with the parking authority, who's the one who issues the residential hang tags.
Okay, thank you. I have another situation. I don't know if this one is going to be city or the county, but before I show the pictures for this one, at the last meeting, I showed you pictures of a situation. One thing I forgot to point out to the public, due to where whenever I do take my pictures of someone riding, I make sure that I black out their license plate. I have to say I'm not taking the pictures to catch anyone or turn them in. I leave that to the police department. And I will make that clear, which I know you see on the pictures, that I do not turn anyone's license plate in. But this new one, that's where on the corner of French and Easton Avenue, I had brought it to the police department's attention. That's where the cars, it's a light there, but how these cars, they're not stopping at the red light, they're using this as a yield, how they're turning around and not respecting pedestrians. Once again, I have the pictures to show you what I'm trying to say, where they're not respecting the pedestrians crossing there. For you I see that you're trying to recognize where I'm talking about, but like I said, I'm asking for the city to put a sign there, please stop here on red. Yes, like I said, due to where they're coming off of Eastern Avenue to turn to French Street, there's a red light there. They're not stopping there, respecting the pedestrians. How they're yielding. They're going through the light and see if it's okay to turn. So yes, I would act, like I said, city or county, yes, to put a sign there, stop here on red. I know you do make those signs. I've seen it before. And also that area stop, because like I said, I've seen too many people almost getting hit there due to where they're not stopping when it's red. They're yielding.
Can we check?
Is that county or that's city?
They're actually,
It's county.
county and state maybe, but
It's county. It's actually it's gonna take 2 years, so don't be real, but the county's gonna eliminate that little ramp, that cut through there and make it a regular intersection.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then one last quick one, the easy one. That was where 4 weeks ago. That was where you weren't here, Council President Fleming. That was when Vice President Anderson was here. That was when I came up to you at the end of the meeting where I asked a little emergency. What is the city doing with the roof here of City Hall here to make sure that this roof will not collapse on people in here, due to where when I came up here, no one responded to me about where the ceiling was falling in. None of you took it seriously. Is something being done?
Totally object to not taking it seriously at all. So that was absolutely not the case, but there was a motion made to adjourn the meeting by rule that has to do, you have to take that vote. That's why we said we'd see you afterwards. And
No, like I said, no, I
you
find
already had
that.
your 5 minutes at that point in time, and somebody made a motion to adjourn by Robert's Rules of Order. That has to be done first.
But come on,
And
that's
we
not, I
did that,
find that
and
as
that's
an
why Mr.
emergency,
Lockton-
but the ceiling's falling,
And
hitting
Mr. Lockton
someone.
Mr. Lockton took care of it.
I would,
No, what you want to say, Mrs. Moore, you're absolutely right, and some of us have been saying, you know, we've been waiting for, there's some plans to start working on this, because we do know that it is an old building,
Yeah.
and there's things that need to be, so we are aware, we have been doing this for how long, Mr. Lockton? Because I know I'm one of them that I ask you all the time.
Probably in excess of 2 years.
2 years.
Um,
So we do understand, so we do take it serious, because we have been paying attention to that for the past few years, so.
Well, I've been paying attention within the past month or so, due to where, like I said, you have pieces coming down and all the rain that we've been getting.
Let's be fair about one thing. The room does need work, and my office needs to make it happen, but the envelope of the building has to be waterproof first. But a little piece of plaster falling hardly, equates to an emergency. I think you're over-exaggerating the fact that the ceiling is going to come down. Let's be fair about that.
Okay, yeah.
But yes, it was an embarrassing moment for us, and we're going to do our best to not let it happen again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And can I just make a point, maybe Tom or Rich wants to speak to, you haven't spoken about Baldwin and Railroad Avenue tonight, which you have been talking about for 2 years. I think these gentlemen have put a permanent solution in place that maybe you would be satisfied with.
Okay.
One of our representatives reached out to the property owner, Costa Chica Restaurant, and they've agreed to put in 80 feet of guardrail, basically from our do not enter sign, which is on the Baldwin side, up a good substantial portion of their property where we see a lot of folks coming through the park line and cutting through. So we hope that in the next 3 weeks that guardrail will be installed.
So, okay, that's the owner there who's putting that in?
Yes.
And not the city?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening once again, members of the council. Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick Today. First question, are you ready to take the next step in impeaching the president and the governor by passing a resolution calling on Congressman Pallone and our representatives in the assembly to take that action?
Not yet. We took that under advisement last time we talked about it.
Okay. I just know I brought it up at that same meeting where you weren't there, and the vice chair of the council said, we got more important things to worry about. I don't know what could possibly be more important than removing a U.S. president who is a criminal traitor, a corrupt authoritarian maniac. I think that is worthy of the council's attention, and I hope you'll do the right thing. It seems like you're just one vote shy of being able to do that, so please persuade your fellow council members. I do have some issues about the recent election I want to ask. Just yesterday, the school board held a runoff election, the first in the city's history. Can you tell me, do you think that that election was stolen from Yesenia Medina Hernandez?
It was.
She won the first one, and then they found an extra vote, and then it made it a tie. And then
So she didn't win.
Well, she won the first one until they did a recount and magically found an extra vote for
So at
the
the end of
20-year
everything-
incumbent who Mayor Cahill
So
appointed.
at
to
the end of
board.
everything, it was a tie.
After the recount found an extra vote.
But you're questioning the recount process. You're questioning the integrity of who was in charge of the recount.
Indeed. And I'm asking if you share that.
I don't share that.
No, you think it was all on the up and up?
Yes.
Okay, you think everything was on the up and up with the first school board election, the one where the candidates turned in their petitions late? And we're still out on the ballot.
Who turned it?
Ronald Hush, and her name back then was Diana Fajardo. Turned in their petitions late, they were still put on the ballot. News 12 covered it. It was a Yeah, yeah.
Being the county clerk, did say that she was the one who validated the process.
Yeah, there were a lot of conflicting stories I was getting, and so, speaking of that, I do have some concerns about the June 6th primary election that was held here. So, as I indicated at the last meeting, I came here to get the results, as I always do, and I was told by an employee at the Board of Elections that, a cartridge had been misplaced. And, I came and I questioned that at the next council meeting. Mr. Teresi told me that wasn't the case. There was a cartridge misplaced, but the cartridge for my voting machine, for my district, actually did not work. It failed here. And I believe his words were that it was then taken to the Board of Elections where it subsequently worked. And I'll let everyone know that I went to the Board of Elections and I asked them about this, and they had a different story. They said that the Board of Elections, that it didn't work when it got there. It failed. So I want to know about the chain of custody for the cartridges. What is done with the cartridges after they're brought here?
And they just finally work someplace?
According to the Board of Elections, it didn't work here and it didn't work there.
So it wasn't counted at all?
Well, the cartridge failed. They had a paper backup system that they were forced to rely upon.
So the paper backup system, that's what did work.
The paper backup system, I'm told, worked. I haven't seen it, but that's what I'm told. But I want to know who's in charge of taking those cartridges from here to there.
I'm in charge of taking those cartridges. I place them in a box with the rest of the election supplies, and I drive them to the election supply warehouse in East Brunswick.
Okay. And Mr. Teresi, could you please ask Mr. Teresi if he thinks that the cartridge worked when it got to the Board of Elections, or if he's not sure about whether it worked there?
I think that the cartridge worked.
No one told me that it didn't work. No one when you asked me the question, no one had told me that it didn't work.
Okay. So you were under the impression that it worked, but you didn't see it firsthand?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just for the record, I'd like to say that Mr. Teresi's impeccable reputation stands on its own.
I concur.
Certainly don't mean to impugn anyone's reputation. I just want to get the facts straight. I
But
appreciate Mr. Teresi's help.
I mean, with the cartridges, did it change any of the results?
Are you questioning the results?
Are you questioning the results of?
I'm questioning why the cartridge failed.
Mr. Council President, I'm not an expert in this area, but my understanding is that the machine has a particular count. The backup is on a cartridge. The cartridge is designed to get the results quickly to the Board of Ed from the individual municipalities, the Board of Election, not the Board of Ed, to the individual municipalities. And that, it's a fail-safe system in that the machine counts votes and the cartridge counts votes, so that if there is an issue, they rely on one or the other. So I don't think that the cartridge itself is the only method of verifying votes in the machine. It's my understanding how it works. But
I mean, we're not talking about a high number of turnout. Like we were talking about like a presidential, whatever, you know what I'm saying, we get thousands.
I don't know if the number of votes has anything to do with it. Apparently, I guess computer stuff sometimes goes.
But I'm saying with the paper backup,
yeah, well,
it's right there.
The voting booth is a computer type based machine.
Right.
I'm just trying to understand how it works, because I think that every election counts, every vote should count, and I'm concerned because my district was the one that was affected, so I want to know what happened. There were a number of other issues that I don't know that I have time to get into, but I believe that,
Is the cartridge the official thing, or is the paper the official, or, and?
I don't know. I don't know what's more official, what's less official.
But I don't think there was any issue that they said they didn't have the vote count out of that particular ward and district.
I have other election concerns, but I don't have too much time left, so I'll move on to the alarming problem of the New Brunswick Housing Authority's repeated violations of the Open Public Records Act. You should have all been copied on an email today. I sent to Executive Director John Clark. It's completely indefensible. They can't even keep their own promises. They say they're going to respond within 15 days, and then they go 40 days without any response. Their lawyer lies to my lawyer and says, I'm going to call you about that. We'll give you a status update, and never does. they are, basically, it's come to this. John Clark has to either resign or they have to produce the records that they owe the public. It's very simple. And I do want to also draw everyone's attention to the Ethics Board. There is an employee of the Housing Authority who I filed a complaint against. She's also a board member of the Parking Authority, and that complaint will be heard. I believe there'll be a hearing on that, correct? Could you ask Mr. Shem, there'll be a hearing on that on the 26th at 5:30?
I'm not exactly certain what the status of it is, but I know there is a meeting coming up, and I believe that matter's on the agenda. So I would assume there's going to be a hearing, but I'm not involved. It goes to this.
Understood. And I just want to encourage the council members to please try to attend that. That's this coming Monday, the 26th at 5:30 p.m. This is where the rubber meets the road. You need to see how this person defends themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none? Motion.
Second.
Council Vice President Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Socorro Ludwig. Yes. Council President Fleming.
Yes. Good stuff.